Hello class and welcome to Unit 6 for Religious and Cultural Classics. As this unit we focus in on Taoism. Sometimes you will see it written with a T, other times you'll see it written with a D. It's still the same thing, this philosophy, this religion that yes, even for me still is quite confusing, but I want us to give a little bit of effort in this particular unit to starting to try and understand and wrap our mind around it, especially with regard to one of their sacred texts. That's the point of this religious and cultural classics class, so that you can have a tiny bit of a framework to begin understanding the differences when people talk about Buddhism versus Confucianism versus Taoism. So for me, I've had a recent experience. In fact, it just happened for this recording this week as I went back to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where I served as a missionary with the International Mission Board. I was there for a different reason. I was there to speak at a memorial service for the abduction of one of our ministry partners. My ministry partner, his name was Pastor Raymond Coe, who was abducted back in February of 2017 in broad daylight, and we still haven't heard or seen from him since. I was privileged to go there very quickly for just 2 nights as I spoke at his memorial service at a Chinese Methodist church, together with other people like the Archbishop of the Catholic Church of Malaysia, and had that time to spend with his family, especially, not all of them, but most importantly, his son, Jonathan. We had a little bit of time, and in this time, I knew I continued to still feel quite confused about this religion, this philosophy called Taoism. So on my own, I Googled and tried to locate a Taoist temple, and not too far from where Jonathan was living, we were able to go to this Guandi temple that claimed to be a Taoist temple. The irony about it, though, was everything that I saw in there, including the conversations, all made me think, although it claimed to be a Taoist temple, everybody treated it in this more generic type of way, like a Buddhist temple. What do I mean by that? All of the literature, there was a table that was just stacked full of literature, was all related to Buddhism. It was also just closing and concluding the celebration of Chinese New Year. They'd say Gong Xi Fa Chai to all each other, to everyone in that particular country. I know I just butchered it. And that was related to aspects of Buddhism. So I went in there and I wanted to talk to somebody about what is the difference just simply between Buddhism and Taoism. The man who was working there was not a monk, was not a religious teacher of any sort, but he was the caretaker of this location. The simple answer that he gave to me was simply this: Buddhism originated in India. Taoism originates in China. As much as that didn't help me too much, I did like to begin with that framework, because you did see, as you started to go into this particular temple, a much more of a stronger vibe that was East Asian, Chinese in nature. In fact, right here, right next to this particular temple, was a Hindu temple where, you remember, we went through Hinduism. I got to see different statues and different places of worship devoted to Ganesh, another one called Murugan. Also, Hanuman was in there as well, the monkey god. And so I was able to see those things, and you could definitely see a South Asian and Indian type of motif because of its point of origin. And I'm sure that that can still be the case for a lot of Buddhist temples. With this one in particular, you can see even with the writing, it's very East Asian in nature. So Taoism really has Chinese origins. This is an important figure within Taoism. And this is someone that I'm going to invite you to investigate personally by researching just simply through the internet this week, discovering who is this central figure within this philosophy, within this religion that's called Taoism. Many places just like this where they are offering incense. A lot of people coming into this temple seeking prosperity, health, and well-being for their lives or for people within their lives. And as you can see right here, there was even some people there in a moment of offering up some sacrifices and moments of incense, and they actually had things that they were carrying in with them to offer within this temple. And if you notice these statues, you can definitely see a stronger East Asian motif within this particular temple compared to especially Buddhism, as it should relate to the origins found from India. So I want to do this first. I want to just use a resource that I found online to just quickly read these 3 paragraphs about helping us to understand kind of Taoism. So let me read it for us. Taoism, also known as Taoism, is a Chinese philosophy attributed to Lao Tzu. So that's somebody I'm going to get you to look at and to research this for this particular unit, which developed from the folk religion of the people primarily in the rural areas of China and became the official religion of the country under the Tang dynasty. Taoism is therefore both a philosophy and a religion. It emphasizes doing what is natural and going with the flow in accordance with the Tao, a cosmic force which flows through all things and binds and releases them. The philosophy grew from an observance of the natural world, and the religion developed out of a belief in cosmic balance maintained and regulated by the Tao. The original belief may or may not have included practices such as ancestor and spirit worship, but both of these principles are observed by many Taoists today and have been for centuries. That is one thing from my observation living in a country like Malaysia was very prevalent, and I was never certain if this was something related to Buddhism, Taoism, or both with regard to this connection back into their ancestors. Right? So the final paragraph here, it just says, Taoism exerted a great influence during the Tang dynasty, and the Emperor Xuanzong decreed it a state religion, mandating that people keep Taoist writings in their home. It fell out of favor as the Tang dynasty declined and was replaced by Confucianism. So that's important for us to see that Taoism predates Confucianism potentially, and Buddhism, but the religion is still practiced throughout China and other countries today. So this just leads us to land in 2 particular ways for you to do this through your own investigation and the way in which you will kind of submit your reading reports for this week. First of all, you're going to focus on investigating this central figure within Taoism, this person, Lao Tzu, okay? So that's something that I want you to look into and to provide some good responses, both through discussion and also through your reading report. Secondly, what is Tao Te Ching? In other words, there is a bit of a sacred text of sorts connected to Taoism, and I want you to do your part to investigate this and to discover what is in this particular sacred text. All right, 2 simple aspects. Who is this and what is that? That's what we have for this particular unit. I look forward to reading your responses and see what you've discovered about this philosophy/religion.